Playing Sea of Thieves as a solo player is the hardest way to play the game. You're in charge of helming, cannoning, repairing, navigating, decision making, and so much more, which is way too much to juggle as a solo. You're always one death away from kicking, screaming, crying, and throwing up. And I felt the same way, but since I started playing over half a decade ago, I've picked up the ins and outs, tips and tricks, and strategies to win as a solo, even when the odds are stacked against you. And I've puked out everything I know as a solo down here on this huge document. So in this video, I'll be showing you everything I know as a solo slooper, from the weapon loadout to what to prioritize to how to even the odds. And to be able to digest everything in an understandable way, I'll break down how to be a great solo player in 5 lessons, starting with the first lesson, preparation. Before you go out on the waves, you need to decide your weapon loadout. I always suggest the sword and sniper since it fits well in any situation. The sniper can deal long to medium range damage, and the sword paired with blunderbombs can deal short range damage. You could change out the sword for the blunderbuss, but I like having a weapon that I know doesn't need ammo. And I've used a sword my entire time playing, and I'm too stubborn to double gun. Now in terms of combat, when going against an opponent hand to hand, you need to use the opposite of what their weapon is best at. For instance, if someone has a sniper or pistol out, get up close and personal with your sword. If someone has a blunderbuss or cutlass out, keep your distance and kill them with your sniper and blunderbombs. Practice with these weapons with hourglass battles if you need to. Just shoot out and keep boarding your enemy to practice your TDM. Doesn't matter if you win or sink, you're just practicing. Now you need to stock up on supplies. Here's what you need to do before you set sail every time. Buy captain supplies from the shipwright, if the game will let you. Buy wood, cannonballs, fruit, and storage crates from the merchants, if the game will let you. Fill the storage crate with supplies from the other crates you just bought and siphon supplies from the surrounding barrels. And then put the storage crate directly behind your left side cannon for later. You do this so you don't have to run to your barrels and get more cannonballs during naval combat. Instead, all you have to do is look down, grab, and reload. Now with the remaining empty crates, place them around the same left side cannon to make what's commonly known as a turkey wall. This will prevent enemies from harpooning you off your ship while you're on your cannon. And the last thing to do for preparation is keep any grubs you collected in your inventory. This way, if you ever need more health but are out of food, you can resort to grubs. It won't give you a lot of health, but it might give you just enough during a tense situation, and you can also puke on people to blind them. Lesson 2, sloop strategies. It's important to know what advantages a sloop has out in the sea so you can use them during battle. Firstly, sloops are best known for their quick maneuverability and small body. Here's how you can use this against each boat size. If you're against a sloop, you'll want to keep your sail at half or 3/4 for slower speed to make good shots and quick turns when you need them. If your enemy has full sail though, it's best to keep full sail as well to prevent them from outmaneuvering you. You should also keep your sniper loaded and make some shots at your opponent if you can to delay them, if hit reg works. If you're facing a ship with a larger crew, keep a good distance away. Battling close range against someone with more firepower is like bringing a pillow pet to a shotgun fight. Be quick and unpredictable with your movement until you have an opportunity to get some good shots on them without being in their cannon range. Once your larger foe has holes, make sure that they have their mast down and or their anchor down, then get closer to apply more lower deck pressure. If you're paralleling a larger boat, which is 2 boats sailing next to each other in a straight line, shooting blunderbombs at the enemy cannon line to knock them off their cannons has been told to be a viable strategy, but for me, if they don't have their anchor down, it ends up pushing their boat in an unpredictable way, either towards me or away from me, which can really mess with the strategies that I had planned. The last thing you want is a full galleon ramming you because you blunderbombed them, and next thing you know, you're facing 3 other people in a TDM match. So I stick to shooting cannon line with cannonballs. The next great sloop advantage is a sloop's left side. The maximum number of holes the left side of a sloop can have is fewer than the right side. Not only this, but if your mast gets knocked down, it will fall to the right rather than the left. Meaning if you're on your right side cannon, it might get in the way of your cannon. So keep your left side pointed at your enemy at all times to maximize time to apply pressure and minimize the time to repair your ship. The last sloop strategy you can use to your advantage is that sloops are the fastest going against the wind as long as you have your sails pointed in the direction that the wind is going. Previously, you would leave your sails straight no matter which direction the wind goes when going against the wind on a sloop, but that changed in a recent update. So keep your sails in the direction that the wind is going. This could be used for when you need to go out of the fight to repair heavy damage. Now that you know the sloop strategies, it's time to learn lesson 3, offense. Opening shots are important as a solo. Here's how I start a fight. I first shoot the enemy cannon line with cannonballs to keep the opponents off of the cannons until they stop shooting or I'm out of their cannon range, which is when I go for the mast to immobilize them with chain shots. If I don't have chain shots, I try to shoot 3 cannonballs at each mast to make sure they fall. Once they start to leave my cannon angle, I'll circle back into what they call a death spiral. This is when you raise your sail and turn your wheel around halfway so your boat makes a circle around the enemy. Once you do that, then start applying cannon pressure, making sure to knock players off of the wheel, masts, and cannons, as those might be ways for the opponents to get back on their feet. A great tip to catch them off guard is if you're confident in your TDM skills and you're close enough, harpoon a player off the ship and kill them to prevent them from helping their crew and to even the odds a little bit more for a short period of time. Once you've applied some pressure and are thinking about boarding to prevent them from repairing, first make sure to have no holes in your ship and make sure your boat's path won't don't ram into anything or go into someone's broadside. If you really want to board though, at least be certain that your enemy has more holes than you so they'd sink fast enough for you to get back to your own boat before it sinks. Alternatively, you could just board the enemy to put their anchor down and come back to your boat to death spiral, but if you're not confident in your PvP skills, I'd suggest against this. Remember that every second you spend dead is a second that could be used against you. Lastly, as an extra tip, monkeys can be launched out of the cannon to make the same sound as players do when getting shot out, making the enemy scramble to their ladders to watch for boarders, wasting their precious time and giving you the chance to one-ball them or at least stall them for a couple seconds. It's worked for me many times. Oh no. Oh no. Lesson 4, defense. Defending your boat is hard enough as a solo, but when you find a person trying to board your ship, it can make things a lot worse. Here's what you do. When you find yourself with a boarder coming up either of your ladders, knock them off with a blunderbomb while they're climbing up. This way you get rid of the boarder and you don't have to leave whatever you were doing. Bonus points if you listen to them whine about you using blunderbombs. That is absolutely
nasty.
Cringe of me.
Okay.
If you don't have blunderbombs, the best way to keep boarders off is to correctly time your sword lunge to hit them off the ladder as they're about to get on the boat. If by the time you start to lunge and they're not climbing onto the deck, grab the wheel and release it so you don't have to wait for the cooldown to finish while your enemy boards the ship. Now if you still fumbled and the opponent does somehow get on, stay on the top deck while fighting. Going below deck on a sloop traps you and makes you vulnerable for easy blunderbomb, pistol, or sniper shots through the grate of your ship. You can also use this to your advantage if your opponent goes under your deck. If you need to bucket while there's a boarder, do it next to the map table so that you're constantly in the water you need to bucket. If you're TDMing on your ship and need some good movement tech, the sloop has some options like the ladder juke where you hop on your ammo crate and interact with the ladder outside of your window to instantly get on your top deck. An alternative tech is jumping off the side of the sloop onto the ladder to confuse the enemy. Now, contrary to what you're probably thinking, repairing your holes and keeping water out of your boat at all times is not the top priority. It's subbing to my channel. I work really hard in these videos, okay? The other top priority is cannon angle and pressure. Only repair the holes if you're out of their cannon range and they're out of yours. If they're in your cannon range and you're not in theirs, apply as much pressure as you can, 20 to 30 cannonballs, and then go down to repair your holes if you have any. If you're in theirs and they're not in yours, get them in yours to apply equal pressure, or if not possible, I like to turn my boat opposite of the way my opponent is turning to get out of there as fast as I can. You'll tank some shots, but as long as your mast doesn't go down or you don't get one-balled, you'll be fine. And finally, if you're somehow getting death spiraled, firstly start praying to your gods, and then keep your left side pointed at the enemy because of the holes advantage we talked about earlier, and balance giving pressure on the enemy's cannon line and repairing your ship until you're able to get out. You're at a clear disadvantage during a death spiral, so if you aren't able to get out of it in sync, don't beat yourself up. The odds were stacked against you, and you at least tried your best. The last lesson, final tips. In case you didn't hear how many times I said blunderbomb in this video, they are vital for a solo slooper to have in many scenarios, so make sure you always stay strapped with them. In Fortnite terms, keep boogie bombs around you to win a 1v4. Always keep your health at least 75% because if it drops below that, you could instantly die from a sniper shot. Don't be afraid to turn out of a fight to repair. Even though some people consider it running, it's best to prolong the fight than lose the fight. Just make sure you come back, otherwise you are actually running. Never stop moving during hand-to-hand combat. Keep jumping, running, hopping, and moving like a jackrabbit that just drank 5,000 milliliters of caffeine during a TDM match to stay unpredictable and harder to kill. And lastly, if you want to see a solo slooper using these tips in action and maybe learn something extra, then make sure to follow me on my Twitch because I'm mainly solo when I stream, and I might be streaming right now. And if you want to learn the secret to having good cannon aim, then click on this video right here and learn all about it.